Hello and welcome to SATV's International Affairs. My name is Rashid Kanchan. I'll be your host, and in studio we have our International Affairs commentator Shamsul Alam Pantho. We also will have our Pakistan correspondent Mohammad Musab, and from Washington Mr. Norman Floyd Barnes will join us to give us the update. First, let me take a question for Mr. Shamsul Alam Pantho, sir. What are you going to pick from world's top trending headlines? Because still trend is going on Russia, Ukraine, Iran, Israel, Gaza, India, Pakistan, Sudan civil war, and war in also in Somalia, Central African Republic and civil war in Ethiopia. There are so many wars in 21st century. We have seen world is facing in different region, civil wars, misunderstanding, conflicts. So what are you going to pick for today's discussion?
Very good afternoon to you, Mr. Kanchan, and a very good afternoon to our viewers. First of all, you mentioned a lot of the war fronts that are taking place. So it comes without question. I should mention that today the Quad Summit is taking place. It will be an event for 4 days and it will be held in Washington with India, Australia and Japan. The foreign ministers are set to meet and to discuss Chinese strategic strong points in Asia. Aside from this, in top stories, we have Canada, which rescinds the digital services tax to advance trade negotiations with the US. Of course, they are seen to have some kind of misunderstanding between one another. Apart from this, in some breaking news yesterday night, we've seen general Israeli settlers attacking Israeli Defense Force members, IDF, in the western part of Israel as well. So that is definitely shows what kind of further processions we are going to have over the week. Aside from this, global warming has taken lives, many in Pakistan as well. So that's an issue we could pick up today.
So there will be so many issues to discuss. Let me get the picking points from Washington DC. Mr. Norman Floyd Barnes is in Washington. Good morning, Norman. What are the news headlines is trending in United States media and around the globe you want to pick for today's discussion? Mr. Norman Floyd Barnes from Washington DC.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
Greetings to everyone from Washington, D.C. Today, the United States Congress is still debating the big beautiful bill. So right now, that is the biggest issue. The biggest thing going on right now is trying to get this thing done by Friday, the 4th of July, on the president's desk.
So we will be definitely discussing about the big beautiful bill. Senators engaged in a marathon vote, a Rama, examining amendments to President Trump's $3.3 trillion tax and spending package with slim prospects for passage. We will definitely have a big focus on that bill because American people are very curious, very enthusiastic about this. Let me get the points from Mohammad Musab. He is our Pakistan correspondent now in SATV studio. Currently he is traveling to Bangladesh. Musab, welcome to studio and let me know what you are going to pick for today's discussion on your behalf.
So in the past 4 days, I've just seen the numbers that have been issued by the National Disaster Management Authority in Pakistan. Pakistan was declared the ground zero for climate change, and it is all happening in Pakistan right now. We've seen a dry spell over the last month and a half, and now we've seen 4 days of constant rain. This has taken lives of more than 57 people. That has so far been accepted and reported by the National Disaster Management Authority. Most of these lost lives are from the northwestern province which borders Afghanistan. This is called KPK, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. Most of the lives that have been lost are in this province, but in the biggest province in Pakistan, Punjab as well. We've seen ceilings falling down because of heavy rains. These are torrential rains. And mind you, sir, Pakistan is currently facing the biggest climate disaster in human history. There are cloud bursts that are happening, there are lake bursts that are happening, there are dry spells that are happening, and there are unexpected hailstorms that are happening. The world needs to not just say that this is the ground zero of climate change. The world needs to actively participate in the climate change action plan, which is going to be implemented in Pakistan. So far, we've only seen promises, we've only seen grants that have not become useful in Pakistan's context. So there's a lot that needs to be done in Pakistan with respect to this. This is a catastrophe of a very big order, and something has to be done very quickly for this.
Yeah, thank you, Musab. As our international commentator says that there is an incident in Israel that Israeli satellites are fighting with IDF, Israeli Defense Forces.
Yes.
Probably this is the first time is happening in the soil of Israel.
Yes.
What kind of symptom is this? Is that IDF is no more trusted and popular to the Israeli satellites or Israeli people? This is the question I want to do for you, for Shamsul Alam Pantho, and for Norman as well. I want to get it from first.
So Middle East is boiling up, as we've been constantly saying to our viewers at SATV. When I was reporting live from Islamabad and the Iran-Israel war was going on, interestingly, after a lot of years, finally the Palestine issue has come up on the global stage. We always saw that the Americans and the Israelis had a good lobbying mechanism in place, and that is why the Palestinians never got a seat at the big tables all over the globe. Finally, we are seeing, and it's probably because of digital media, it's probably because of X, that videos come out and then commentaries start, and forums that were not previously activated, like the rights awareness forums all over the world, they started taking notice of this. And it's been a very long 30, 40, 50 year struggle of the Palestinians that has now certainly become a hot spot and highlighted at bigger events, bigger conferences, bigger tables. So what is happening in Israel right now is that Israel was never given a response by any country at all. And Iran did that. Iran not just responded to Israel, it lasted for days, which was not being expected by any country in the world. The US estimates, the Israeli estimates were that Iran might not be able to respond. The Iranian government, which they call the Iranian regime, would be unpopular and people would come out. The same happened between the India and Pakistan conflict, if you remember. This is what the Indians were thinking. So what's happening is that the Israelis probably are sick and tired of war going on, sick and tired of their houses being bombed. And as one must say, Benjamin Netanyahu has been at a war for a very long period of time, and it must come to an end. The Israelis, like any other human all over the world, wants to see peace, wants to earn their livelihood and go back to their families and enjoy their evenings.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I want to get the same comment from Shamsul Alam Pantho, because he has a very deep study on Israel-Palestine issue in particular. I just want to know that whenever we have seen the Benjamin Netanyahu is going to face the election and there is a probability that he is going to lose, he start a war. War is his safeguard. So what are you going to say about this?
Well, Benjamin Netanyahu, the leader of Israel, is a member of the IDF himself, or was. And much of his theory that he propagates is coming back from a military standpoint. Given that, I'll read you the headline. Israeli settlers attack Palestinians and IDF military vehicles in West Bank. Almost around 3 Palestinians were killed in this attack while it was taken in the town of Kfar Malik. And they started setting property ablaze and opening fire on Palestinians. So this would be the first notion, or the first in many notions recently, that Israelis are openly showing their aggression towards regular folk in the Palestinians. Of course, there are items such as Ben Gavir. He's the top senior leader in the Israeli Knesset as well. Even he takes the liberty of taking the Israeli extremists to do such acts, and of course this is now gone to a level where they are attacking their own defense forces. Of course, it's still a building story. It was building for the last 3 or 4 weeks. Now we've seen it in various news outlets, PBS News, Associated Press, everyone is covering. Of course, it'll still be a matter of time before we understand what kind of logic this would raise. Of course,
Right.
Iran had shaken the core of Israel's civilians, in which the civilians now think that their defense force had betrayed them. That is how the notion came about.
Very good question, and I want to get a comment from Mr. Norman. Mr. Norman from Washington DC, would you mind to explain your impression or your understanding on this particular incident that Israeli satellites, they are financed by Israeli Jewish, they are financed by United States, now they are opening fire to the IDF, Israeli Defense Force. What is the indication of this internal clash? Is this an impression of Israeli mass people to the IDF for killing civilian unnecessarily? Mr. Norman?
Again, good morning from Washington. The opinion here is that the United States, well, you mentioned the United States is heavily involved with funding of Israel. The people of Israel and the people of the United States wants a ceasefire. Actually, they want the hostages back. They want the people back. So part of the outcry is basically, we want our people back. You promised to have to get our people back, and it hasn't happened. So we want efforts made towards that. The fighting, the killing, and all that's is something that the government's doing, but the people want their family members back home. Plain and simple.
So this is the reason for this kind of incident, that Israeli people are demanding their hostages back to the country, and IDF or Israeli government is failed to do that. That's why this misunderstanding or fighting is going on. Is it right, Mr. Norman?
Correct. You're exactly right. They internally want their family members back. The government, they believe the government has a responsibility to protect the people and to fulfill their promises. They had promised on this campaign to seek and get their people back. That was the whole purpose. They are not seeing it.
As you are on the line, I just want to shift our discussion to the big, beautiful bill. What is going on in United States? Senators engaged in a marathon vote of Rama, examining amendments to President Trump's $3.3 trillion tax and spending package with a slim prospects to passes. What is the interest of the people will be included in that bill, Mr. Norman?
Yes, the amendments is largely coming from the Democrats to slow down the process, to alter the process. As you know, the big bill includes a lot of cuts and a lot of increase in spending. Defense and other things they want to do. They want to do tax refunds and to the wealthy. But the biggest issue is that Medicare, medical coverage is going to be slashed and cut. Some of the funding to hospitals and rural areas is proposed to be removed. The amendments are to balance that out. They want to attempt to basically get some of these things back, services to the people. We're looking at 11.8 million people about to lose their current health care. And most of these are seniors and people who have disabilities.
So people are very unhappy with Donald Trump's this initiative?
Yes, people are very upset. The Republicans is going to have a challenge to get this. They have a slim majority in the House and the Senate, and the people are pressing the legislators to basically do something. We can't afford to have this cut We are struggling now with our, paying our bills. And now you want to take away the medical coverage. That's something that the people are protesting about.
Mr. Norman, I'll be coming back. When I'll again come to you, we'll be definitely discuss on the Middle East, the final stage, or I mean, what is the outline or roadmap is going to be designed by the United States or Donald Trump himself for a sustainable ceasefire or sustainable peace in Middle East. I'll be asking that question because you have a very big neck and very interest on Middle East issues, and you yourself is a peace negotiator. So my question will be on that particular issue. Let me come back to Muhammad Musab. Musab, you see, in the world right now we are witnessing so many wars: Russia, Ukraine, Iran, Israel, Israel, Gaza, India, Pakistan, Sudan civil war, and Sahel Valley offensive in Somalia, which is just raised, Central African Republican civil war, war in Ethiopia, Myanmar war, Myanmar, continued fighting between the junta and the rebel groups post-coup, Yemen, Syrian civil war. There are so many things is going on, and this is the highest number in 21st century in different regional war. What do you think? This year is going to be the year of war?
Not just that. I don't think that this year is going to stop at being the year of wars. I think this is going to be a year of climate change and catastrophes happening because of climate change as well. And I say that based on information that we go through on a daily basis. What has happened is that our friend from the US would comment on this probably in the second half. Donald Trump was being looked after as somebody who is going to be the peace president of the United States of America. So if there's a good diplomatic direction, if there's a good foreign policy direction in the US, the whole world sort of follows lead. But what has happened is that since the day that he has taken oath, he's taken the whole world head on, starting from the African countries and moving on to the Russia-Ukraine conflict. He's gone on a spree of diplomatic, I would say, drama that is we've never really reported such things on television. Even the US press is taken aback at the way that he's taking things into control, the way he's using his Truth social media to inform the whole world on what he's going to do next. The US lawmakers think that they're not being asked enough. The Congress has become dysfunctional somehow. The opposition in the United States of America is not even asked on issues as big as the Israel-Iran war. So what is happening is, like I said yesterday, that they're going to be, there's a possibility of a World War III that might break this year or the next. But before that, what is happening is the technology is being tested. I stand by my statement. After yesterday's show, China announced a new bomb which says that it would not even need to be blasted. What will happen is that they'll take out the power of any country without a blast. Now that is something that is huge. At the same time, we were discussing SARC yesterday, Rashid, and as you had rightly pointed out, that SARC needs to be activated and Pakistan and Bangladesh need to come closer. What has happened yesterday is that China has said that the new forum is a reality that the world needs to see, and this would consist of regional powers. My thinking or my understanding of the situation is that China also understands what is happening in the United States. The Quad conference, which is going to be attended by the Indian Foreign Minister, Mr. Jaishankar. Mr. Jaishankar is going to be in the United States for the next 4 days, and obviously China is going to come under discussion. So China proposing a new forum would mean that all regional countries and all of them are somehow or the other being disturbed by India, would not include India.
Yeah, I'm just curious to ask a question to our international affairs commentator. Is world going into a different direction or different order, Shamsul Alam Pantho?
Well, you mentioned much of the retaliation between various countries. One that you had skipped was Taiwan and China.
Yeah.
And in a larger context, it's actually the US and China. two global, one is already a established global dominance force and one is an emerging global dominant force as well. So the hostilities between the both two nations still remains at large. We have not seen any kind of retaliation between the two countries. Of course, there has been an abnormal trade tariff that there was, 145% trade tariff between the two countries. Aside from that, as you know, the Quad meeting is being held in America. Of course, EAM S. Jaishankar from India is going to be there, Australia's Foreign Minister Penny Wong, and Japanese Foreign Minister Takeshi Iwaya is going to be there attending the Quad summit. And the Quad aims to achieve maritime, economic and tech cooperation between the four nations and to discuss Indo-Pacific security, especially in terms of China's assertiveness. Now, in terms of China, they have a huge working force. They now have a very strong naval presence in the South China Sea. Of course, what this does is it makes sure that the US side is definitely taking note of any kind of Chinese escalation in that region. And of course, there has been violations on the Chinese side of breaking international water laws.
Right.
Well.
You rightly mentioned about the Quad. Norman is with us from Washington, D.C. US Secretary of State Marco Rubio is conveying the foreign ministers from Australia, India and Japan under the Quad framework, focusing on reinforcing a free and open Indo-Pacific and addressing rising concerns about China's regional influence. My question would be to Mr. Norman. What would be the America's or its alliances influence in this area where China is too much prepared, China is too much vibrant, China took the control on sea and ocean, China took the control on air, China has a lot of alliances in this region. What would be the Quad's joint conference or joint press release you expect, Mr. Norman?
Yes, the expectations from this meeting, this conference, is to allow the countries to have economic transactions. Believe it or not, the whole issue is about economic and trading. The militaries are there to show that we can protect our interests and we can have some enforcement on some of the rules. The main goal is to have free-flowing economic trade. They want to have commerce. The whole world is based on the movement of funds and trades and commerce. Everybody depends, each country has a dependent on each other. There's no situation where one country can do it by itself. The resources are not that way. So recognizing that we need our neighbors from Australia, we need our neighbors from the Middle East, we need our neighbors from Europe, we need our neighbors from Iceland. We need everybody in order to do, because we just don't, as a country here, we do not produce everything we need, and outsourcing is the way to go. So we need friendly cooperations between the countries. The purpose is to create something that we can all work together.
Yeah, that's a common, U.S. foreign policy. Whenever they need to get someone, they offer friendship, they offer trade relationship, they offer diplomatic relationship. Whenever something goes wrong, they don't take time to hit. This is the common foreign policy of the United States world is witnessing after Second World War. Musab, what is your experience about this? Because we see America is very concerned about South Asia because they have interest regarding this to face China. But is it really possible to stop China because China is too much aggressive to go for business?
Yeah, so before I answer your question, I'd like to take it forward from what Norman was saying. It's all about trade, let's be honest. The gun business is a huge business. But what Donald Trump has certainly said during his press conferences, especially if you remember the one that he had with the Prime Minister of Ukraine, Zelensky, he talked about real earth. if you remember. And real earth is probably going to shape up the wars of the world from now onwards. It's found in Ukraine. The United States want that. Probably Russia is after that as well. That is why President Donald Trump was constantly saying we'll put our people on the mining, we'll put them on ground in Ukraine, and that will stop the Russians from firing bullets. He can find that in Africa, and he can find that in the western side of Pakistan. So this is exactly why the United States of America is warming up towards Pakistan. The Chinese and Russians also need real earth. Where are they going to find it from? So probably in that context, the world is warming up towards wars. Everybody is after real earth. It costs a fortune. It can change the destinies of smaller countries if they have such things under their earth. And what is going to happen from now onwards is that every war that we see is not going to last for a very long time. It's going to be shaped up in a few days. It's going to happen, and then it's going to be stopped by Mr. Donald Trump. And and the tweet would say, thanks for the attention to this matter.
And some of his well-wishers will claim that he should be the Nobel Peace Laureate, right? Mr. Shamsul Alam Pantho,
yes.
I have a very tricky question for you. It's not tricky, it's a diplomatic question. You see, when Donald Trump was doing campaign at Donald Trump 2.0, there are so many questions in front of American people. Who is going to face Vladimir Putin? Who is going to take the fate of NATO? Who is going to face the China trade aggression? And who is going to take the control on Middle East? Because after Assad regime gone, somebody started to thought that Vladimir Putin has a little control on the Middle East. So these were the questions to the American people. Well, they have chosen Donald Trump for the second time, and he is now running. Do you think he is still in his focus according to the American people desire, or he is just changing the world order in favor of United States as a supreme power of the world?
Thank you for your question. Much more than tricky, it does. The question needs me to give some background to it. Donald Trump, in his first term, 1.0, he made sure of his campaign, Make America Great Again, the four-letter word that had galvanized much of his supporters who would support him to run for president. And in his second term as well, before going into campaign, that was his motto again. He wears MAGA caps as well to propagate his message. You mentioned Vladimir Putin. I'll give you the latest with Russia-Ukraine war. Today is the 1224th day of the war, much into the 3.5 years threshold. And the Russia state media says that Russia has claimed to have seized all of Luhansk region. So even last month when we were talking about Ukraine-Russia war, we were saying that only 20% has been captured by the Russian forces. That number is growing on a daily basis in the backdrop of European leaders trying to help Volodymyr Zelensky in order to quell off this Russian attack. Aside from this, we finally see some emerging news from the leader of North Korea, Kim Jong-un. Photos had showed that at a repatriation of soldiers, North Korean leader was giving his farewell to the lives soldiers lost in this Russia-Ukraine war. So it is safe to say that the North Korean army forces are also helping Russia in this regard. But your initial question was regarding Donald Trump. At this moment in the last 6 months, whether or not he has made it easier for Americans to live in their own land. There's a law of the land, you eat from the land, you sleep on the land, and the law of the land governs the people who do so. In that regard, America is now going through some shifty waters, some high tides, if you would call it. Especially the New York mayoral primary, it was won by a Muslim Palestinian supporter as well. And in a talk show between all the contestants, everyone was asked what they would do immediately if they were winning the seat. And almost everyone had the same answer, that they would go visit Israel. except for Zoran Mandani, who said, I will be here for the New Yorkers and I will help everyone in the 7 boroughs. And that is how he had garnered such a popularity. Of course, he is now facing the remarks of Donald Trump, as we know, as he gives them.
Yes, in the second part of the program, we will be definitely discussing about the rise of Zoran Mandani. This is very interesting, and he became a sensation to the American people, especially the New Yorker. Before I go to the break, I just want to put a question for my distinguished and respectable audience that do you think United States President Donald Trump is making America safe or America great again, or he is putting the world safe again, or he is putting the world into danger? This will be question, and when I will be back, I will come back to Norman with Washington DC.
Dramatic music. I'm good. How are you? The rain.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, at SATV's International Affairs. We have at studio Mohammad Musab from Pakistan, our international affairs commentator Shamsul Alam Pantho, and at Washington Norman Flat Barnes. Shamsul Alam Pantho, you have raised very interesting topics. I personally feel very interested on the rise of Zoran Mandani, who is now contesting for the mayor of New York City, whose background is from very humble Ugandan family, and he himself is a very humble person, but he became able to attract the young generation, the people in New York after a long, federal establishment power in New York. What is your comment on that?
Well, I mean, he is a pro-Palestinian mayoral nominee, and what is going on is he garnered a lot of social media traction amongst the young generation that is there in New York City, and most of his promises are being taken up by that immigrant population that lives in and around New York City. Of course, Mr. Zoran Mandani is not only Ugandan linkage in his ancestry, there's also Indian ancestry, which he does not take any heed to, as his entire mayoral work would be to serve the 7 boroughs of New York City and the great New York people. Aside from this, Donald Trump did take a nab at him, did call him a communist, and in recent news, Trump had warned him to do the right thing. Let me read it out for you. Trump had threatened to withhold federal funding from New York City if Democratic mayoral nominee Zoran Mandani does not do the right thing as mayor. So definitely he is going to face some kind of push and pull effect from the current administration there. And it's still too early to say of what kind of issues we will see. But in cases of Zoran Mandani, he sees that Washington is being held or being controlled by Donald Trump and his party members. And similarly, if New York City were to be under the same infrastructure in returns to Andrew Cuomo as well, and Adam Smith, if that happens, then the nation would be suffering. And that is how Zoran Mandani says that New York should be completely different and the lifestyle and changes should be completely different. Of course, his initial campaign promise was that the city would have affordable housing, a rent freeze, and also free public transport such as free buses.
So there will be an interesting event is waiting for us, Musab. What do you think? A president, he's a president. He talks about the funding of Harvard. He talks about the funding of Columbia University. Whatever he doesn't like, he posts on social medias against directly, and he uses some languages which doesn't go with the language of a president. Now he's personally he engaged himself with Zoran Mandani. That's a New York issue. What do you think? What kind of president he is? And he's an attention seeker.
Yeah, politics is always for the brave. It is not for the weak-hearted. Donald Trump, when he was leading his first campaign to becoming the president of the United States of America, he was always called somebody who's unconventional to politics. And he's proven time and again that whatever commentary there was against him, he's proven his critics right by doing everything under the sun which the critics said or predicted that he'd do. So he's taken the whole world on. So what happens in politics is there's boundaries that you do not cross. But for Donald Trump, there's certainly never been any boundaries. And that is something that he takes pride in. So whatever the public feels or whatever the mandate he gets or whatever the critics say, he will take everybody head on, whether it be media, whether it be the opposition political heads within the United States of America, whether it is states of the world, whether it is heads of states of the world, he'll answer to everybody. And that is Donald Trump in a nutshell for anybody who wants to understand Donald Trump. So what he does is he creates problems for not just himself, he creates problems, he attracts undue attention. And that creates problem for his cabinet, that creates problems for his friends. But that is Donald Trump. Nothing can change that. What is interesting is that he gets the popular vote through this, whatever he is. And he's very raw. He will not go through protocols that usually heads of states go through. So he would not take advice. I'm sure he does not take advice. He does take advice. I'm sure he does not follow it. And that is what we've seen. So while talking to heads of state, he would go on rants. While talking to social media, he would go on rants. While talking to reporters, he would go on rants. And he will ask, he will pinpoint, call them names. That is something that is not we see from the head of state of the United States of America. It might happen in Southeast Asia, we're used to that. But this happening in the United States changes the paradigm for the whole world. The whole world follows the United States lead.
I was listening one commentary at Washington Post, one very famous commentator, I don't want to just take his name. He said there is a word, it's called megalomaniac. I am here, you see, this kind of attention. If an American president seeks, he is already on the focus of all attention of the whole globe.
World,
yes. But he is doing that. I just want to ask a question to Shamsul Alam Pantho. He is a very young generation person in this profession, and this generation has a different views on the world. They want to see in a different way. They have got the artificial intelligence and so many development in science as well. I just want to know, sir, from you, from your personal point of views, do you expect an American president? He is not only the American president, he is actually the boss of the world, because still world is run by the United States, controlled by the United States, funded by the United States. Should act like this, because we have then seen a previous president Joe Biden, who was so humble.
Now, the question begs me to answer in a comparison tone. So I'll tell you, when Joe Biden used to be the president or POTUS of America, what happened, we've seen him falling asleep due to various age-related issues. We also have news that he's suffering from prostate cancer. So the man has definitely done for his country, and now Americans must think of someone who is qualified to lead the House as well. Of course, as far as politics and elections go, the American people had elected Donald Trump. The major world issue now would be not that the entire world is fighting a disease like COVID, or that war seems to be the global demand. It's actually something that humans cannot control. It's called climate change. Certain effects we have seen over and now. If you look at the context of Southeast Asia, one of the themes in our talk show today was global warming. Journalist Mr. Musab was also mentioning how it has affected, torrential rain has affected Pakistan. And even in a recent, even last year in August, we've seen the states, the districts of Feni, Kumilla, Noakhali going under complete water, and the entire country reeling in from political turmoil at that very month is also was also seen helping the regular general folk of Bangladesh. And today is July 1st, and I must mention that social media is remembering the situation that the Bengalis faced even last year. I'll give you one of the examples. The mosque imam opened Fajr prayers on the backdrop of gunfire sounds. That is what we lived through. More or less, what my answer would be that Donald Trump does have a lot of world agendas. Global warming is one of them. He would definitely be better off trying to fix get to a solution that it almost affects everyone in the globe, rather than having blatant comments regarding almost every global player out there. Even during the Iran-Israel war, there was a time when both of the countries, it was a short time, both of the countries had breaking their ceasefire agreement, and it had made the leader, the most powerful seat in America, use a curse word in front of media. Now that's what tells that he may not be fit to run as the President of the United States of America.
This is a very big comment. I just want to come to Mr. Musab. You see, he named the media that CNN, MSNBC, Washington Post, New York Times, these are fake news. As a president, can blame or label a media that fake news?
As I've already said, he takes things head on, and what happens is he gets things done this way. It would have been a different scenario if he would have done this and not gotten solutions, answers, or results. He's getting results by doing this. The problem that I see is that he gets the popular vote. So why is it that the Americans love this attitude of his? He portrays himself as somebody who's very open. Let's try and break down Donald Trump's personality. He says that the state should function in a manner that is very transparent, and whatever the head of the state does should be publicized. So foreign policy that used to happen behind closed doors is now happening on social media, on Truth Social, on X, on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, on TikTok. If he has issues with a Chinese manufacturer, he's a businessman, and he's always had his way of doing business. So he does not back down. When facing an adversary, when he sees pressure, he'll respond with pressure. The white people in America, they love this. So you'll have to understand the whole society behind Donald Trump. This is his second term. Who is going to lead the Republicans in the next term is a question that I need to ask. If you remember, and Shamsul Alam shared it with me yesterday, Elon Musk had yesterday said that if the big bill passes, another party in America is going to be launched the very next day.
As a journalist, you definitely have some portrait for himself. Do you portray him as the boss of America or president of America?
Donald Trump is unconventional. He knows that the seat that he sits in controls the whole world. They decide the fate of smaller countries. They decide trade routes. They decide who's going to buy which equipment. He sees China as a potential threat. He's trying to, he has had good friendship with Vladimir Putin in the past. He's trying to calm things down. I'm not sure where things are stuck, because if Donald Trump really wants to end the Russia-Ukraine war, why is it not ending? Is it because of NATO? We've seen in the past that NATO is irrelevant now, and it's going to be irrelevant in the future as well. It's going to be a world of regional blocs. It's not going to be a world controlled by the United States. Donald Trump is just trying to prolong the United States hegemony over the whole world. How long can he do that? I'm not a political commentator. I try to remain towards news, but because you've asked me, I think Donald Trump is bringing the United States influence over the world to an end which might not have ended had Donald Trump not won. Having said that, I'm not a critic of Donald Trump. I'm not against Donald Trump. This is for the Americans to decide who they want to see in power. What we're saying is that him interfering in our region is something that people, when we go out in the masses, they do not respect that. We elect our own governments. That is what the people say. That is how the people feel. And Donald Trump taking everything on social media, ordering countries on what to do and what not to do, when to start a war, when to end a war. This is something that people in our part of the world, in this region, are not really liking. We're reporting facts. I don't know if his team or somebody will see this or not, but if they do, they'll have to put this across to him, tell them how people of this region feel.
Shamsul Alam Panto, there is a saying in West that if your friend is America, you don't need any enemies.
Exactly.
So NATO has passed a bill that they will share 5% of their GDP to NATO to protect themselves.
Defense spending,
it was a demand by Donald Trump. They hadn't agreed. My question would be, why Europeans are so much depending on United States security to secure themselves?
Well, as per your question, the Europeans find themselves in a very default position. On one end, they had to deal with Brexit just before or after coronavirus in 2020, and that had taken a huge blow into the trade into the European Union. Now, as per your question, it's not everyone at the NATO summit that said they would keep their promise for the next 10 years of defense spending up to 5% of their GDP. One of those nations that didn't promise to such a thing was Spain. Jose Manuel Alvarez. This guy is the foreign minister of Spain, and we have seen him openly condemn Israeli action into the Gaza war as well. So Spain itself had said that they would not increase from 2% up until 5%. So they'll stay at the 2%. Also, you look at Viktor Orban as well. He's the leader of Hungary, if I'm not wrong, and he also is contemplating whether such high GDP expenditure for the next 10 years is actually required. Now, all of this comes in a response to the Ukraine-Russia war. It's not seeing any kind of cessation of its activities. The exchange of fire is still ongoing. In this case, it is not whether it's Israel or Iran, it's not Pakistan and India, it is Russia. It is a massive nation. Even if you look at our screen, half of the entire globe is almost 1/3, if you look at it, is Russia. And in historically speaking, the USSR was dismantled in an attempt to weaken the hand of the Kremlin. Back then, of course, the leader wasn't Vladimir Putin. But if you look at Vladimir Putin's background, he is also one of those people who have a strong military and intelligence community network, is as similar to Benjamin Netanyahu. So he's also one of those military strongmen who knows how to continue a prolonged war.
That was a really good discussion. I really enjoyed. My special thanks goes to Mr. Norman Flatt-Varnes from Washington, D.C. Mr. Musab, hope you are enjoying your time in Bangladesh and at the studio in SATV. And special thanks goes to our international affairs commentator, Shamsul Alam Pant, who is very updated all the time. Dear viewers, before I conclude, I just want to remember you, today is 1st July. The last year, very same day, students of this country started their movement for their quota rights, but the rest of the things is history. People know what happened at the date of 36 of their movement. We have great respect for their movement. We really want people of Bangladesh should really enjoy their democratic rights, citizens' rights, and a good country to govern. And other two things I just want to remember, that today is a birth date of British beloved royal and humanitarian icon, Princess of Wales, Princess Diana. And also happy birthday to Canadian American model and actress who was very famous and animal rights activist. She recently celebrated her 58th birthday. She is Pamela Anderson. I will see you tomorrow.